everybody's $220 billion in the red. This is the highest level of government spending we've seen. We haven't seen this before. And they've lost control. They have absolutely lost control. And it's because they think that spin is the way to get through a cost of living crisis. Well, it's not. You've actually got to do the hard yakka. It's why we've opposed over $100 billion spending initiatives in the
They call that the no-alition, is that?
Well, but it's the right thing to do. At a time like this when households can't manage their budget because of the pressures they're under, the government has to get control of its budget, and it's completely failed spending through the parliament. We've already done it. I mean, that's votes in the parliament.
This unavoidable spending.
But, you know, it's the aggregate level of spending that matters. Well, I'm not going to go through each of the individual initiatives that are out today because I've only...
But you wouldn't touch it though, right?
I've only just... Well, look, let's step back from this. Jim Chalmers, first of all, for the economic crisis we're facing, wanted to blame Vladimir Putin. More recently, he's gone to Donald Trump. Then it's President Xi, we just heard the other day. It's his fault. Veterans on the weekend. Now he's saying it's all unavoidable. Look, the spin gets thin. Jimmy's spin gets thin after a while, Pete, because at the end of the day, this bloke has lost control of his spending. Spending is growing way faster than the economy.
We have found, as Katie said, almost $15 billion in savings in this update and $92 billion in savings since we were elected. And remember, that compares with precisely no savings in the Coalition's last budget. So savings and spending restraint have been hallmarks of our responsible economic management. 2 surpluses in the first 2 years and smaller deficits than we inherited from our predecessors are a demonstration of those savings and that spending restraint. And that's why it's a hallmark of our responsible economic management. Without that combination of savings and tax reform and spending restraint, we wouldn't have got anywhere near the very positive turnaround that you'll see in the mid-year budget update tomorrow.
The Albanese government has come under scrutiny following revelations that public departments were urged to defer spending to improve the budget outlook ahead of a potential early election. Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor labelled the move as spin, accusing the government of prioritising optics over addressing Australia's economic challenges. According to reports from the Australian Financial Review, bureaucrats have been asked to reprofile spending to the out years to present a rosier financial picture. Sources suggested this strategy reflects a consensus within the government to avoid the March budget and opt for an early election. Angus Taylor did not hold back, stating on Sky News that Wednesday's mid-year economic update, MyEFO, would reveal a government in financial disarray. He accused the Albanese administration of mishandling the economy, citing 7 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth per capita and a similar stretch of household recession. Treasurer Jim Chalmers admitted to slippage in the budget, with the underlying cash deficit expected to rise from $28.5 billion to $33.5 billion in the next financial year. This increase is partly attributed to $16.3 billion in what the government has described as unavoidable costs, including funding for aged pensions, childcare subsidies, Medicare, school programs, and disaster recovery efforts. While Labor has justified the additional spending as necessary for essential services, Taylor criticised the government's fiscal approach, claiming that spending is outpacing economic growth. He further accused Chalmers of deflecting blame by pointing to global factors such as the impacts of Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Xi Jinping. The spin gets thin, Taylor remarked, adding that the economy is on life support. Finance Minister Katie Gallagher defended the government's fiscal position by pointing fingers at the previous coalition government, alleging they had used strategies to artificially improve their budget outlook. Gallagher claimed the Albanese government inherited ongoing programs that were underfunded or had no continuous budget allocations. Labor's upcoming MyEFO will highlight $16.3 billion in costs due to increased demand for government services, including $8.8 billion in unavoidable spending to extend programs that would otherwise end. Specific allocations include $3.6 billion for aged care indexation, $3.1 billion for early childhood education, $2.3 billion for Medicare and the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, and $1.8 billion for disaster relief. Treasurer Chalmers pushed back against the opposition's criticism, challenging Taylor and opposition leader Peter Dutton to clarify their stance. Chalmers argued that any claims of wasteful spending should be followed by specifics on cuts. If Angus Taylor thinks extra spending on Medicare and pensions is wasteful, he needs to come clean and tell Australians how much they'll cut, he said. Despite the additional spending pressures, the government highlighted its efforts to secure $14.6 billion in savings and reprioritizations in the MYEFO. Labor also noted that since the 2022 election, it has banked $92 billion in savings and reprioritizations to strengthen its fiscal position. Taylor, however, maintained that the government strategy is insufficient to address broader economic concerns. He reiterated his view that Australia is in a cost of living crisis, worsened by what he described as a government focused on spin rather than substantive solutions. This fiscal debate unfolds against a backdrop of worsening budget forecasts. The government downgraded mining export forecasts by over $100 billion and reduced projected company tax receipts by $8.5 billion over the next 4 years. These factors contributed to speculation that the forecasted deficit for 2024 to 25 could exceed the $28.3 billion prediction by $5.2 billion. As Labor prepares to release its mid-year economic update, the political landscape remains charged. With an election potentially on the horizon, both sides are positioning themselves as the better stewards of Australia's economy. Thanks for watching Aussie Pulse. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest insights into Australian politics and beyond. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. See you next time.